I was going to talk about some more information regarding those toxic relationships. And my second toxic relationship was more toxic, and it was more amplified in toxicity. It was just, it was bad. But a large part of that reason comes from uh, me messing around with a girl who's young enough to be one of my daughters. So that is uh, instant. I don't want to use the word karma, but when you put forth unhealthy energies into uh, the universe and the in motion type of structure that's around us, well, it's going to feed back to you the type of energies that you're putting in. So my energies were unhealthy. My energies were selfish and lustful, childish, even uh, inconsiderate, disrespectful, just all sorts of things that are negative. But anyway, I messed around with this younger girl, and she got pregnant, and then so now we have a daughter together, and my daughter is 8 years old. And so anyway, the when when she was pregnant, originally, a friend of hers told me that prior to meeting me, she was, or prior to messing around with me, she was already pregnant. And so she kind of had me believing throughout the whole pregnancy that I didn't cause the pregnancy. So either way it goes, after my child was born, about close to after 30 days, between 30 and 60 days later, I had to give a paternity test, and so it proved that I was the father. And so at some point, because I didn't meet my daughter until she was 3 months old, and at some point in 2014, yeah, in 2014, uh, my daughter's mother was homeless and living in her car with my daughter. And so when I found that out, I had her come to my apartment and come start staying with me. I'm not trying to have my daughter living in no car. Well, that's when the toxicities emerged, and something that's already so crooked and off course, you can't just go and just try to remold it and reshape it and turn it into something that's correct. You can't, you know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna happen. There's even a scripture in the Bible that said, that which is crooked cannot be made straight. And so anyway, I tried to correct matters and turn this whole situation into something that's healthy. I basically did the same thing in my first toxic relationship too. I spent so much time and invested so much energy trying to correct her, and so I'm so far out on this limb, stretching myself out further and further away from me and my own inner being. I'm so focused on trying to fix them, I'm ignoring all the things about myself that need to be fixed. So I'm all stretched out, almost to the point of where there's no return. You almost can't even find your way back because you're so invested in trying to calm this storm, this emotional and chemically imbalanced storm that I'm not anybody's doctor. Some of this stuff takes medication and whatnot. But either way it goes, like I said, I started ignoring the fact that I have problems that need to be corrected. I need to be having my eyes turned inward and assessing and reassessing who I am. Though I've made changes already, those changes need to be maintained, and I need to continue to make sure that I'm making healthy decisions from day to day. I have to literally stop and monitor my activities just to make sure that nothing has crept in and started to develop as a habit that can lead back to criminal behavior and that type of thinking that can land me back behind that barbed wire fence, that dreadful scene. And so anyway, uh, I got her staying there at the apartment with me, and it wasn't very long after that the toxic elements started to surface, and there just began to be a bunch of aggression, cop calling. Uh, I had like 3 pair of my glasses broke. She likes to punch. Uh, Even my first relationship, same thing. She likes to punch. I told y'all the story of her trying to remove my privates. I don't think it comes off. It ain't supposed to. Anyway, so yeah, so she likes to do all these different things, and I remember one time she locked me out of my own apartment, went onto my Facebook, and put on Facebook and told everybody that I just physically assaulted her and that I'd be going back to prison, uh, and that she never thought that I would put my hands on her, and all this just completely fabricated. I got people calling my phone asking me. I got my brother calling my phone and asking me what's up, what's going on. I'm becoming aware of this post that she just put on Facebook. I'm becoming aware of it from phone calls telling me that this is what's going on. Anyway, she called the police on me multiple times, trying to get me in trouble because I'm on lifetime parole and for violent charges. She's trying to make it like, oh, he's still up to his ways. Well, anyway, each time the detectives or the police would show up, the circumstances were not like she had explained that they were over the phone, and the police could tell that this was fabricated, and so the cop calling culminated in 2014, June of 2014, when at this point it was so messy. There's just been infidelity from both sides, and there's just been problems. So anyway, we're not even living together at this point. So now she has an apartment over in Bellevue. I hope to move there. And so she has an apartment over in Bellevue. So I'm trying to basically still see her get on her feet, regardless of if things don't work out between us. I wasn't worried about any of that. I just want to make sure that my daughter has a safe environment to be in. So anyway, this is why I said earlier in the videos when I spoke about the first toxic relationship, if you are breaking up, completely sever it off. Don't continue to mess around. Don't continue to do things like that, because you're really, really making matters very complicated for yourself. If you're the one that's on parole, I can't say how other things are going to turn out for the person, the other end, the person who's being toxic. But for the parolee, the situation, it's a fast track to get back in prison for something that you didn't even do. So if you're going to break up, which you should break up, if it's toxic, break up. If you can see the attributes now, albeit negative attributes, but if you can see those attributes and they're existing in your relationship, and it basically clearly defines toxicity, you better get out of there. And when you sever it, stop everything. Don't even try to be the friend that talks to her about all her personal business, and just cut it off and try to keep it about the child if there's a child involved. If there's no child involved, and there's no reason for y'all to continue to even have contact, I'd cut off all contact, because that toxicity is so bad. Anyway, back to the story. June of 2014, I go down to her apartment. I stayed the night at her apartment. I was helping to build a bridge over in Plattsmouth, Highway 34, leading over to, was that Glenwood? I think it leads over toward Glenwood. But anyway, so that was my job. So I selfishly thought, oh, I'll just stay the night down here at these apartments because it's right down there by Highway 75. That way I can just get to work and just go straight down 75. Well, so anyway, that was just a poor excuse to be down there, because I still had a jumbled up ideas on how to how to break up. I'm trying to break up and be real nice and gentle and kind, and thinking all this extra stuff has to continue to happen just to keep matters smooth. Well, no, none of that extra stuff, none of the intimate stuff. So anyway, we messed around in the morning, and then I got up and went to work. And while I was going to work, uh, she called me and asked me a strange question. She was like, first of all, she was like, "Where you at?" She knows I just left and I'm on my way to work. So that was weird question number one, because she calmly was like, "Where you at?" And I said, "Heading into work." And she said, "Oh, but where?" And I said, "Well, I'm heading down 75." And I had to go to the Iowa side. So I got to I had to, basically go around. I had to take 80 and go around. So I wasn't telling her that. So she's trying to figure out my exact location. So that right there had my antennas up, and she had already been threatening through verbal and text messages. She had been threatening to get me sent back to prison and whatever. So I'm trying to call myself being cautious, but I'm also being very stupid. So she said something, I forgot, but then she ended the call by saying, "Well, let me call these people." And so she hung up. And I'm thinking, what's she talking about? Let me call these people. So I go on to work. And while I'm at work, I I'm on the Iowa side. Yeah, like I said, I'm on the Iowa side, and so the bridge is not connected yet. Except for, I think, maybe all the steel was connected. But anyway, the police are on the Nebraska side, and so I know they're looking for me, and I know. So now I know she didn't call the police, and I don't even know what her allegations are. So I told my foreman, I said, "Hey, I gotta go." I said, "This is a problem for me." I said, "I gotta go down to the parole office and let my parole officer know what's going on, because I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but this is potentially police contact." So I go and park in front of the parole office, and so this happened to be my parole officer's late day. So she didn't come in until like around, if I can remember right, it was something like around 8:30. And so I tell her what's up, and so I find out shortly thereafter. What? Hold on. She tells me to go change my phone number, and she puts a no contact order between me and my daughter's mother. So then she tells me, go change your phone number. So I leave and I go. And then while I'm trying to get my receipts from my apartment so I could take my phone and do whatever I need to do, I was going to just change out my whole phone. A cop was right there passing by my apartment. So I just asked him, "Hey, are you looking for me?" And when I told him my name, he was looking for me. So then I said, "Well, I'm going to just park right here." So I parked, and then two or three more cop cars showed up instantly, literally. He was like literally. So anyway, uh, I called my parole officer again. I said, "Hey, they're about to take me to jail." So anyway, I go to jail. I'm charged with first degree sexual assault, and I don't know about any other charges. I can't remember, but that was the one I remember. She's trying to have me charged. She's having me charged with rape. So I get in the Sarpy County Jail. They put me in the pod with the sex offenders, so I'm in there with those guys. You know what I mean? Just sitting there among them. They looking at me like, "Oh yeah, welcome, you too, huh? Join the club." No, no, I won't join the club. What? Anyway, uh, anyway, so the next day the detective comes down there to talk to me. He's from Bellevue. I remember his last name is Cage, and he comes down there and he asked me for a statement, and I said, "Well, I don't got no statement for you." I said, "But everything that you need from me is in my phone." So long story short, they get my phone up there. We open it up. I show him the messages. He starts tripping about the messages. All these threats from her. One of the best ones was, it was just so clear. It was perfect. She said, "My first attempt to get you put in jail failed." She said, "But now I got something that's going to get you put under the prison." And she said, "You'll die in there." She said, "You'll be in prison having sex with men." She said, whatever, whatever. So And all this extra stuff was going on because in all the toxic nonsense earlier in the whatever you want to call it, it was bad. She had cheated, so when I became aware that she cheated, well, I messed around with her cousin, trying to get back. So I'm adding to the toxicities myself. So anyway, one of the texts that I said to her after I realized that she had called the police, I knew she got a little small brain, so I called. I text her. I text her, and I said, "Why are you doing this to me?" And then she said, "Why'd you f my cousin? Why'd you have sex with my cousin? So basically, when the detective read all those things, he can clearly see that this was all fabricated. But besides that, she failed the rape kit. So the rape kit shows that there was no forced entry, none of that type of stuff. She failed the interview. She did not have the emotional uh, state of mind or mannerisms to show that she had just been violated in such a way. So anyway, and then her story was just so filled with drama. There was nothing broken, and there was no signs of no struggle in her apartment, whatever. So anyhow, he tells me he wants me to sign this paper giving him authorization to download everything that's in the phone so that he don't got to get a search warrant. He said it'll be to my benefit. So I said, okay. I signed the paper, and then while we're still sitting there talking, the phone rings, and it's her calling while he's holding the phone in his hand. I said, now, if I just raped this woman, I said, just hours ago, why is she calling my phone? Whatever. So anyway, he's taking all this into account. So he leaves, and they put me back in there, and our pod went to rec, and I'm in there doing pull-ups. And mind you, I'm in there with all the sex offenders. I'm in there with them people. And so I'm in there doing pull-ups and push-ups and stuff, trying to just keep my mind sane because this is unbelievable. Anyway, they called me out and was like, hey, you're free to go. I was like, wow. So all the charges were exonerated. The detective told me he personally called the county attorney to ask him to exonerate the charges. Personally, he called. He said, this information is so fabricated. He has evidence. Here's the phone messages, blah, blah, blah. So they exonerated the charges. I just wanted you to hear that story so that you could see the measure of toxicity that can be reached, the type of gravity and poison. It's like quicksand. Duck and run for the hills. I'll pick back up in a little bit, but that story. Well, so anyway, real quick, and then I'll shut up. They had let me out, so once I got out, I had to walk because he had my phone, so I can't make no phone calls or nothing. He still got my phone, so I had to walk to my apartments. And so when I get to the apartments, my truck is gone. While I'm locked up overnight, at some point somehow she didn't call and have my truck repoed. Like, we ain't making no more payments. Y'all might as well come and get it. Ain't no we wasn't making no payments. I was making the payments. Anyway, now my truck is repoed. So I ended up losing the bridge job. I was making 3108 on that bridge job. I lost my bridge job because I didn't have transportation to get to and from work. And when I was going to go get transportation, right after I had gotten out, I was on my way to go get a car. I called my parole officer and told her I was about to come down there and see her because one of the things she had done to me when she put a no contact order on me with that with my daughter's mother, she she put an ankle bracelet on me to prove where I'm at, so that if my daughter's mother tried to make some other allegations, my parole officer can show my whereabouts. So anyway, I told her I'm about to go get another car. I said, and then I'm gonna come down and get an ankle bracelet put back on. And she was surprised. She was like, "How are you calling me?" And I told her, "Well, I had to buy this other phone. I just had bought a used phone." I said, "Because they got my other phone in evidence." And so she said, "But no, you're out." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm driving down 84th Street. I'll use a friend's car." And so then she said, "Well, this might be a problem. Let me call you back." And so I pulled over, and I already knew this was about to lead to me going back to jail. So she calls me back in under a minute and tells me that I'm not supposed to be out. She said Sarpy County made a mistake letting me out. She said regardless of the charges being exonerated, she said I have a parole hold, and the parole board has to make a decision to decide if, although the charges were exonerated, did I still do anything that that constitutes a violation of my parole conditions. So they put me back in there, and I had to stay in there for 4 more days. So I was in there for a total of 5 days, and then I was released because the parole board got the report that the county attorney got. So the parole board got it, and then they could see it was nothing. So then, all right, so that's that. So the charges were dropped. I lost that job. I ended up getting evicted. So I'll tell you the rest, or what I'll just pick back up, and we'll talk some more. But I'm close to the point of telling y'all the story of when I went back to prison for a technical violation. So I'll pick up